The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
At first, we hit your gadgets with our state-of-the-art digitalized mobile studio with the debate on the road behind the wheels. Later, we launched our magnificent studios located on Plot 1A, Sawagude Close, Lukulinanganda, Machindye, Kampala, where we bring to you our must-watch shows like The Mighty Drive, Monday to Friday, 8 a.m., Hotline, Mondays, 7 p.m. As for legal matters, Twins at Bar, Tuesdays, 11 a.m. Wednesdays, 6 p.m. is Afro-Caribbean Link, where we connect Africa with the Caribbean. Voltage on Thursdays, 7 p.m., featuring a youthful panel. Interface with Dr. Kizza Besigye every Friday, 12 p.m. with his call to action against injustices. Snap Talk, Saturdays, 6 p.m. with the trio. A must-watch, The Political Dice, Sundays, 8 p.m. with the duo that never stammers, and so much more. Watch us live on all our social media platforms. We are The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Hi Rogers, can I ask you something?
Shoot.
What does corruption mean?
Well, summarily, corruption is abuse of public power for personal gain or for the benefit of a group to which one owes allegiance. For example, when a public office is abused by an official accepting or soliciting a bribe. By the way, private people can be corrupt too, like bribing police officers to escape fines.
Okay. So exactly how does that concern me?
Well, do you pay taxes?
I guess, yeah. What does that have to do with this?
Everything. Because those taxes you pay are supposed to facilitate services you use, like water, electricity, roads construction, medicines in hospitals, name it.
Okay, that is much bigger than I thought. But it can be stopped, right?
Well, yes it can, although it may not be as easy as it sounds. And here is the reason why. Corruption roots are grounded in our country's social, political, economic, bureaucratic traditions and policies.
So, what has kept it going this long? I mean, why don't we stop it?
Well, the main reason why it has been here for so long is because institutions are weak, either as a result of poorly defined ethical standards of public service, weak administrative and financial systems, or ineffective watchdog agencies.
What can we do to stop it?
At a national level, we must focus on strengthening the independence and effectiveness of public institutions that fight corruption. At a personal level, we must commit to never giving a bribe.
I promise I'll never give a bribe.
Well, that's a great decision you have made. Me and you now have to spread this message to all our friends. If we all do our part, corruption will be no more.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digitalk.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Interface Show. My name is Edgar Matthew Karuhanga. We're into the new month. Today is the 6th of September 2024. A lot of things have been happening in this part of the world. Remember, Uganda is that country that every other day brings out news. There's something new that people will be talking about literally every other day. So we have been in this week and a lot of things have transpired over the space of the week. But before I delve into that conversation, allow me honor you. And of course, thank you so much for tuning in each and every other day. Starting from 12 to 2 p.m. every Friday, you're always here watching the Interface Show. Not only the Interface Show, you watch us when we're doing the Mighty Drive show, the Hotline show, the Political Dice, the Snap Talk, the Health Hub, all those shows. Thank you so much for always watching. And of course, a special shout out to the people who cut out these videos and you promote them on your social media platforms, especially on TikTok. I hear that we are trending so much on TikTok. So I want to thank you so much every man, woman and child who has done that, it's always something that we feel proud about. And of course, those people who invest even their time and their resources. This part of the world, the data is really expensive. But for you to watch this show for all that time, sometimes the network is a bit funny, but you continue to watch this particular show. I would love to thank you. And of course, the people who watch us from as far as the diaspora, people who are in other countries, people in the Middle East, people in Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Bahrain. Thank you so much for tuning in. I have people from as far as the United States of America. Thank you so much for watching us. Those people are in China. It's always a privilege. And remember, this time round, we are streaming both on Facebook and on YouTube. We are at the Alternative Uganda, at Digitalk TV, then also at the page of Dr. Kizza Besigye. We're always streaming on those platforms. Feel free to ask any question on those platforms. You have a comment, any remark that Doctor has said, anything that you want us to really ask Doctor, feel free to ask that question today. In fact, today we're going to start off with some of the questions that you've been asking throughout the week, even some of the questions that you asked last week that we were not able to respond to because of time. We shall be starting with those particular issues. So in case you have any other questions that you would want, feel free. I've told you the pages at the Alternative Uganda, at Digitalk TV, then at Dr. Kizza Besigye's page. You will be able to send those messages and I'll be going through them. This week, we started on a sad note. A lady passed on, unfortunately, Rebecca Cheptegei, 33 years old. She has been an Olympian. She has represented Uganda at the Olympics. She was there at these past Olympics in Paris. Unfortunately, she lost her life after her alleged boyfriend poured water on her, burning water that burnt her skin, I think, which culminated into multiple organ failure and led to the death of this lady. The country continues to mourn Rebecca Cheptegei, and we as Digitalk TV, we continue to also mourn. This is not the first time that these female Olympians lose their lives. Other two have lost their lives in a space of just 2 or 3 years. We've had women losing their lives who have been doing a lot in the Olympics in East Africa, Kenya and Uganda. So unfortunately, that happened to Rebecca Cheptegei. Still this week also, we had some injuries that were sustained by the leader of opposition, or de facto leader of opposition, that is Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, or the president of the National Unity Platform. He was rushed to Nsambya Hospital, where the good thing is that he has not had anything that really, his life is not really at a lot of risk. Yes, he got some few injuries, but he's alive, he's speaking, and he's well. And many people have gone to his home to try to, comfort him after what happened in Bolindo. Many people also have their reactions towards what happened. Some people say he was shot. The police says he did not shoot him. But at least one thing we can all agree on, that he sustained some injuries. Whether it was him trying to enter the car or he was actually shot by Uganda Police Force, the common denominator here is that Kyagulanyi actually sustained injuries. And of course, we saw that there was a fracas between Kyagulanyi's and, of course, the police force. Some of his colleagues tried to, there was a bit of a scuffle. I cannot say who was right, who was wrong. I'm not the judge and jury, but that happened. Why is it that we see political players often being, violated? Every time where Kyagulanyi will go, you will see police force, you will see tear gas. This was the same story with Dr. Kizza Besigye. Most of the political players, this has happened to them. Why is it that it's continuing to thrive? And it comes at a time when we are entering the political season. We just have 1 year to go to enter the political, to go for the elections come January 2026. So what does this really mean to these political players? There's a lot of news stories going on. Some people have lost their lives. Insecurity continues to ravage on. We saw the president meeting the CID. He was there in Chibuli. A lot of things were talked about. The cameras that were supposed to be working only work during day, according to the president. And this was a new way that government had brought out to fight insecurity. Why does this continue to thrive? When we get time, we shall be also looking at those particular issues. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me welcome Dr. Kizza Besigye right here on the Interface Show. Doctor, you're welcome, sir, and it's always an honor to have you.
Thank you very much, Edgar, and a very good afternoon to all the digital audience, wherever you are joining us from, onto this program of Interface for this week. It's always a pleasure to be here and to share views with all of you out there. And I'm grateful to the Digitalk TV for the opportunity to talk to all of the audience that they have on this show. I hope your week has been well. As Edgar has said, there have been challenges as expected, for many people. The tragic loss of Rebecca Cheptegei is indeed one such horrible incident within the week. And yes, he was talking about the injury of Bobi Wine. And I think even more tragic here are the road traffic accidents, which don't seem to attract that much attention of our people. We seem to forget that road carnage actually has killed far more people than all the wars that have been fought in this country. Has killed far more people than, most of the ailments that we suffer from. And, this last week has been especially disastrous on the road, with buses killing many people, matatus and other, road users who have been killed. So my sympathy to all of you who have had challenges throughout the week, and condolences to those who have lost dear ones. And certainly I also congratulate those who have had good events. I enjoyed some weddings last weekend, and so I know there are people in honeymoon and so on, and I give you my congratulations and best wishes in your new situations. Yeah, so you are welcome to this week's edition.
Thank you, sir. Whereas some people are sad, some people are also enjoying life. That's the irony of life.
It's the nature.
I want to start with Rebecca's issue, Cheptegei. I want you to comment on the manner that she was murdered. Her boyfriend or partner supposedly murders her. And this is not the first time that it happens to an athlete, especially the females. What is your comment on what happened to her?
No, I think it's just domestic violence. It's domestic violence which is rampant in our society. And, is expressed in all kinds of different ways. We are still dealing with the shooting of, is it Katanga?
Yes, Katanga.
Yes, there is his wife is caught, charged with the death of her own husband. So it's really domestic violence that is expressed in all kinds of ways. And, you've seen people who have been burnt with acid.
And recently they are cutting, the partners cutting their partner's legs. Some people cut their partner's private parts.
Yes,
and it's happening really a lot.
It's rampant. I mean, a few years ago, of course, our own Chief Justice was nearly killed with a similar situation of pouring hot water on him. And it's definitely a matter that I think we need to have a systematic way of engaging with. It's not one which will just go away because you condemn it. I think there needs to be, engagement at a broader level cause change in attitudes, change in the way people relate to each other, the value we attach to life, and it requires a more comprehensive approach to deal with it. And of course, also some of the causes of domestic violence, you will realize, have something to do with management of resources within the family or within a relationship. And so again, once there is extreme deprivation as we suffer from, those are likely to be some of the consequences of that. Which you've seen people being killed for 2,000 shillings.
Yes, 1,000, and they cuts off the hands of the daughter because they stole 1,000 shillings.
Yes, so we really need to. The more we develop a fairer society, a more equitable society, the more some of these consequences are reduced. The more girls and boys, for example, spend more time at school and,
enlightened.
Yeah, they acquire, values that may be different from those from their backgrounds. So I think it's a broader societal issue that we need really to engage with that as a society, not just condemn, not just judge, but know that they are drivers for these tendencies that need to be really addressed in a fundamental way.
All right, thank you so much. I hope it's something we've learned, that this is more of a symptom.
But certainly this was, very shocking and tragic, and really my heart and thoughts go to the family of Rebecca Cheptegei and to all the athletes, really. As you have said, she was in Paris only the other day, happy and jolly with all the team of athletes that were there. So it's very sad. Our condolences to all of you.
All right, thank you. Then we also have another question. This gentleman did not want me to reveal their identity, but they were asking on how they can prevent infiltration, especially during their quest for a better Uganda, or in this what we call a struggle. He says that they don't know how to protect themselves. You organize something with colleagues, then in a few minutes you find that you've been sometimes arrested, or there's a way your information has been leaked.
You see, again, it's expected because of two things. One is the deprivation I have talked about. All these young people that would like to demonstrate, they are up against the wall. They don't know what they don't have. They don't expect to have lunch.
Yes.
They don't know what they will eat for dinner. They don't know where they will sleep, and so the immense vulnerability that most young people find themselves in, makes them susceptible to being co-opted as agents of the state.
Yes.
And so, indeed, very many are co-opted by the state. But the second thing is the level of consciousness about how they will get out of that situation. So which level of consciousness would make them more determined to do what needs to be done to get out of the situation. So once, this is like, like religion. Somebody who has a strong faith in his beliefs, that there is life after here, that there is greater power, there is somebody who has greater and strongly believes in that. Even if he is hungry, even if he is beaten, you won't get him off his belief.
Yes, sir.
And that's why we have the story of the Uganda martyrs, who were burnt while they were singing.
Yes.
What they believed in. And so we need the remedy for this vulnerability, strong vulnerability, how to overcome temptations to betray your cause, is to increase the level of faith in their cause, which is by understanding really that, first of all, it is possible to make the changes that will forever transform your lives, and that even if you are given 5,000 shillings and you have a meal today, tomorrow you will still not have, that it's better to, go through hardship, fight for your cause, even die for it if the need be, but get to a better place. So building that commitment through greater exposure to processes of liberation, how people free themselves from bondage, is the surest antidote against infiltration. But having said that,
because as you continue, because that is from a person who has been into the struggle, and maybe because of it not being achieved, they drop off the way and maybe they are corrupted. But how about these people who are infiltrated? They come on the original agenda, they were never for your cause, but they were...
Yeah, so this is what I was saying, that so while that, even those who come actually when they are not for your cause, they can be turned to become the strongest advocates
from
of the
Saul
cause.
to Paul.
Yes, absolutely. That's that. So that process of conscientization, of education, of exposure of the problem that this person, if he's serving the regime, the danger he's putting himself into. So that awareness, raising awareness of the problems that means of detection. And, there is a course we used to, lesson we used to give to activists called How to Detect Subversion. In other words, people who are not committed to your cause, people who have subversive intentions. What it is that people of such a nature behave like, you are likely to know that this person is likely to be subversive. And then in organizing activities, it is also important that you have layers of trust. You know, that people who participate in activities are not all organizers. They are participants. So the organizers should, those processes of increasing faith in what they are doing must have been, deeply undertaken. The processes of detecting subversion must have been equally undertaken, so that the organizers are fairly, committed, more committed people than just participants.
So there are some things that the organizer will know that a participant should not know.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. But having said all that, it's not entirely possible to eliminate infiltrators. They will get in here and there. The beauty of non-violent resistance is that you are not planning anything criminal. So even if they come and arrest you, you have not done anything wrong. You are not intending even to do anything wrong. So they will arrest you and you will come back and continue where you stopped.
Because there is no evidence.
There can't be, because there is nothing wrong. Even the demonstration itself, if you conduct it, there is nothing wrong with it. It's constitutional, it's allowed. You can demonstrate. So it's not like if you are planning war, you are moving guns and so on. The level of secrecy in those matters is much higher than when you are just planning to go to parliament. You even have to inform the media actually.
Yes. That we are going to do.
So it's not disastrous.
Yes, sir.
And I want people to understand that non-violent resistance is a protracted struggle. It's like a guerrilla war. It is not one that gets its objective overnight. So even the effort of the regime, to give money and to deploy all people to look out for people who may want to demonstrate, even that wears them down. And that's the whole intention of resistance. You wear down the junta when you are able to still continue doing what you are doing. And this is why some people who haven't been realizing that the regime is now nearly falling because of the many years they have kept on, fighting ghosts, fighting all kinds of suspicions, and the amount of effort and resources and personnel they engage in all that is humongous. But people who are resisting don't invest anything. They are just going about their ordinary duties most of the time. So and that's why it's not easy for any government to defeat non-violent resistance. So even when you are infiltrated and whatever you wanted to do today is not done, you will do it tomorrow. Don't get frustrated that they have.
It's done today.
And even that effort in trying to uncover what you are doing is a success. You are still stretching them because they are not sleeping, they are trying to find out. And that is part of what resistance achieves.
Yeah, okay.
You put the other person on tenterhooks, and they are not able to plan what they are tracing what you are doing. You are wearing them down.
That's also a win for you.
Yes, it is.
Yes, I'm getting what you're saying, sir. Okay, no problem. I had a question here that was asked by a lady called Nache Unirita. You said that I can mention the name, there's no problem. While attending a function at Dr. Atwine's home in Luwero, the president said on his X handle that UPC killed 300,000 people for supporting NRA. Records say that over 800,000 people were killed. As a former rebel, Kano, can you tell us who killed the 500,000 if Mr. Museveni confesses that UPC is responsible for only 300,000 lives? Also, Dr. Besigye, is it true UPC killed the 300,000 as Mr. Museveni states? Thanks for the show. You're welcome.
Well, first of all, there was a war in what was called the Luwero Triangle. Of course, the Luwero Triangle was not just Luwero
alone.
It was many districts, including Mubende at that time, which includes Kiboga, Chankwanzi, Mubende itself, Kasanda, all those areas, Mitiana, going down to, Gomba, where all those were part of the Luwero Triangle. And there was a war for 5 years. And in war,
yes, sir,
people die on both sides. In other words, both sides kill.
that's the war.
That's what war is about.
Yes, sir.
So definitely some people were killed by NRA. Some people were killed by UNLA, which is, UNLA was the government force that I believe in this question is represented by UPC, which was in government. Now, the numbers that each side killed has been a subject of great contention. Even the total number of deaths, how many people actually died, has been a subject of a lot of contention. It is believed that between possibly 300,000 and 1 million could have died. And it depends on what you use as the cause of death. Because some died directly as a result of the war itself, maybe injured by bullets or other injuries, or killed in encampments of the military, so they were those who died directly. But the greatest majority of people actually died out of the consequences of the war. Who were displaced, who were, trapped in the war area without any food or water, and died of basically hunger and disease. And this was massive. Children, the children who died, especially during the year 1983, it was massive. Even there was no more any process of burying the dead. So people would find bodies all over the place, not killed by guns, but by the situation. Malnutrition. even of soldiers. You know, many soldiers died of malnutrition. And once they are weakened, then other kinds of disease attack them. And, you know, so there hasn't been an audit to establish how many people actually died or are estimated scientifically estimated to have died. These are just, you know, very superficial estimates of people, you know, without any scientific basis. There were no records there. And I think it's important that that's done. We have been talking about a process of truth-telling, establishing what happened, not just in Luwero, but even in other wars. In the 20-year war of northern Uganda,
Yes.
in the war in eastern Uganda,
Yes.
What has happened in other parts of the country, like in Kasese, all these need to be specifically investigated and have witness evidence and so on. Of course, this is, you know, gradually getting blurred by time. People who would have given information are dying. You know, it is now
It's becoming more difficult.
It's now 40 years since Luwero. So we hope that at the earliest, an effort can be made to establish how many people died, what was the responsibility of each party. Yeah, and of course, UPC and its UNLA is clearly disadvantaged because, and that's the fate of all defeated.
Yes. The victors are the ones who tell the story.
Absolutely.
They will tell it the way they want it to be told. Yes.
So the disadvantage of UNLA and the UPC is obvious. That
They lost the war.
They haven't been around to tell the story. It has been the victors
Telling their side of the story.
But that's why an audit, an independent kind of audit, is important, so that we have a record of history that is fairly accurate. But nobody knows, so I can't really offer a specific answer to, you know, the lady who asked whether it's 300, whether it's 800.
Because for him, it's basing on what Mr. Museveni said. And
even Mr. Museveni says different numbers different times. So it's not that Mr. Museveni says the same number. In fact, he has been responsible for that whole range of you know, people that are said to have been killed. Yeah, but nobody really knows, neither does Mr. Museveni know, nor has anybody carried out an independent inquiry into that war.
Okay. 38 minutes past 12 p.m. Thank you so much for watching. There's a lady called Shailene Shearer. You say, I'm a proud member of the People's Front for Freedom. I wish to participate in local committee and general 2026 elections. What happens to me in case the election happens when my party is not yet registered? And this brings us back, Doctor, to the question of the political parties themselves. I was having General Vigirwa Moses here, and he had started what he called a pressure group, the Eastern Revolutionary Platform. He now also confirms that it's going to metamorphose and become a political party. And this brings us to a question where you have always said that political parties are just vehicles, and right now they are not as relevant to the struggle. But it looks like the mindset of Ugandans is still geared to 2026?
It's not the mindset of Ugandans, the mindset of many political leaders. Political leaders shouldn't be confused with Ugandans. Political leaders, many of them are pursuing their personal ambitions. And this has nothing to do with the desire of many Ugandans. So yes, the greatest majority, I think, of most political actors is that majority is focused on how to get into political offices, how they themselves get into political offices, become MPs, become councillors, become mayors, become this. So there is I think a gap between their intentions and the intentions of others who are focused on not just changing leaders,
Yes.
but changing power. Because you can change leaders, but the mission of the country is to change power.
Yes.
I mean, all these leaders in parliament have no power. Whether you become a councillor here in Kampala City or even the mayor, you become a Lord Mayor, you are there without any power.
You're ceremonial.
And
that's the reality.
Yes, you are just there to collect a salary and maybe to be called honorable and but you are absolutely useless.
And that's the reality. I was listening to Jennifer Musisi one time describe Lord Mayor, and I felt
so
small.
I think there is going to be increasingly a contradiction between those pursuing just offices and those pursuing liberation. At some stage, I think we will have to conflict.
Exactly.
Because the way they pursue their ambitions appears to me to be subversive, to be against the liberation, to be undermining the liberation itself. Because actually they don't even, talking about parties, those don't even mind which party they stand in, as long as they get into an office. So whichever party is likely to bring them to the office, they will join that one, and that very, very opportunistic approach, I think must be called out, must be undermined, must be fought, so that yes, we can and need to participate in elections. I have never myself called for boycott. I don't think boycott is the way to go, unless it was not just boycott, but proactive stopping of the election. Because that, again, we are capable of, if we have that focus, to say we shall not allow another rigged election to be organized.
But Doctor, you've boycotted the elections. You said you will never be on on a ballot paper again.
No. You see, you are totally misunderstanding what I am saying. I'm saying you may not participate in an election. Now, the boycotter is the one who stays at home. Says, I don't have anything to do with that election. I don't believe in it. I don't have anything to do with it. I have never been of that inclination, that I just fold my hands and no. And I wouldn't invite anybody to fold their hands. what I'm saying is,
Yes, sir.
we could, at one extreme, we could take a position of not only refusing to participate in an election, but actually stopping it so that there is no election.
Okay.
And people have capacity to say, you will not, you be Abakam and your team, you will not organize an election here. You will not bring those forms that you want, I don't know, update or what. We shall not allow anything to do with an election here. And people can resist and stop an election. That is one way. But another way, and which can be a compromise with those who seek to be in offices, can be to participate in an election, but use it for the struggle. So that how you participate in an election for struggle is another matter that we ourselves must have clarity on. In other words, if you are participating in the election for struggle, you can't be there. There must be two sides, because a struggle has two sides, the oppressor and the oppressed. So if you want to be in an election for struggle, you cannot be in an election contesting against the oppressor, the oppressed contesting against themselves. That you are campaigning against another prisoner, and the other prisoner is also. Then you cannot fight the other.
And we are seeing prisoners fighting each other,
Absolutely.
contesting against
Absolutely.
each other.
That's what the other one. That's what the oppressor will build amongst the oppressed, which is what has been happening all this time.
Yes.
So we can participate and use an election to fight the oppressor if we have clarified for ourselves how we do so. First of all, by uniting our forces. We must have a united force. And that united force can't be only to unite for the purpose of election.
Yes.
No, we have to unite, because the fight cannot be just about an election. We must fight before, we must fight during, we must fight after. In other words, we must have our own war plan. It's not just about the election is the plan of the other people, which we can turn against them. But we must have our own plan, not limited to the election, but certainly not for rivalry and competition within the election, because that will never lead to liberation. So, two things. First, we all know, maybe some people don't, but I guess the greatest majority of people know that these are Museveni elections, using Museveni institutions.
Yes.
The Electoral Commission is a Museveni institution. The security for the election is a Museveni security.
Yes.
The finances are Museveni finances. So everybody knows, or should know, that this can never in itself lead to our freedom.
Yes, and many Ugandans have even boycotted that process. If you realize, many Ugandans stay at home, they're like,
yes, but this is what I'm saying. Staying at home is not a solution. You must be active, you must be fighting. Staying at home is surrender. Is another form of surrender. Saying, we have an
because you know the results.
Yes, but so you must be active, and this is why I'm saying the activity shouldn't be limited to the election.
Yes.
We should start now, and I'm glad people are starting. All these people who are fighting corruption, saying no, this cannot go on. That is, they are active participants in the struggle.
Yes, sir.
And all these activists can fight through an election. We can organize how we fight through an election, and we must. If we don't, then we are working for Museveni. Because have clarity, we must have a good understanding of what it is we are doing.
Yes, sir.
That we are not just going to an election waiting to be announced. Now here FDC has won, and now there, and now, that will never bring anything. So either we organize to stop the election.
Yes, sir.
We will not allow you to have another rigged election here. We stop it, and we can, if we are so determined.
Yes, sir.
Or to fight through the election. And if we are to fight through the election, we must be organized differently from how we've been organizing. And that needs to start. We are already late. We need to start right away to plan how we fight through not just that election, but fight from now till we get liberation. Whether before the election, whether after the election, whether during the election, we must have our own plan, a war plan that will lead us to liberation. Not just election. If you are just thinking about an election, then you are just lost.
Have you engaged these?
You are lost, and you are a problem for the country.
Have you engaged the leaders? Because the Ugandans seem to be united on ground. There are no political parties and colors among Ugandans. But these leaders, the ones that you...
Well, I'm sure you know that we have been working extremely hard on that. And we have made progress in building the idea of the united forces of change. And we've built some, some thinking around it, but not to the level which definitely I am happy with.
So it's not convincing.
I'm not happy with the level where we are, because if we were at the level where we should be,
yes, sir,
we should be very active. We should be,
visible.
Yeah, we should be pushing. We cannot wait for next year. We should be fighting now. And indeed, we should be able actually to achieve change before the election. It's very, very possible. What some of our, I think, people and maybe even leaders don't understand is that actually the government has collapsed. Totally collapsed. We are just, we have failed to fill the vacuum. It's true, we are still failing to fill the vacuum. There is really no government to talk of.
That's why I feel that the opposition is just not ready to take power. But if you realize,
there is no...
All signals for a collapsing state are here.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not yet collapsed,
absolutely.
As you say, but you can see that something is falling.
It's for all intents and purposes, it has fallen. Only that we are still unable to appreciate maybe the full impact of that.
Yes, sir.
And to put ourselves in a position of filling that vacuum, of taking over power. Because, look at all the state institutions.
Everything looks to be down.
You can't, you saw Mr. Museveni talking to the policemen.
Yes.
The policemen are telling him, we have no fuel. we can't. We have no vehicles. We can't move from place A to place B. You know, and you've been seeing it in the media. You know, people come and kill people. The people who are attacked, they call the police. Police say first send
us fuel,
send us money so that we come to do police work.
Exactly.
You know, you cannot at all claim to still have a government. You can't. Look at the way all our roads in the capital city look like. You know.
Yes, sir.
You can't. Garbage, you know, now we are being buried literally by garbage.
Yes.
You know, I had this morning a warning from the meteorologist saying rain is going to intensify towards the end of this month. Prepare for diseases in Kampala. Because
Doctor.
Yeah, this was an announcement by the meteorologist. It was.
Did they use the word diseases?
Yes. Oh. and so this is the, you know, where your government lives. How can you claim to have a government, you know? And when you see, you know, the way, you know, that there is the chief of defense forces, you know, saying, look what the president hanging out with thieves.
Let's go for a short commercial break, ladies and gentlemen. Everything that seems to be going wrong is literally going wrong. Is the opposition ready to take power? That is a question that I ask myself. And I also ask you, because literally everything, the intern doctors are striking, doctors have been striking, KCCA was striking, people are protesting, corruption in parliament, corruption in every institution. It looks like all the signs of a system that is failing are eminent. But are the opposition people ready to take power? Let's go for a short commercial break. When we come back, we'll talk about the nude protesters, talk about what happened to Kyagulanyi, and if we have more time, we'll talk about what is happening in Uganda's parliament. My name is Edgar Matthew Karuhanga. This is the Interface Show. You're watching Digitalk TV.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Go to the church, though.
Tawali man, what's up?
Man, can you imagine people just dump everywhere? Someone drinks water and throws the bottle wherever.
Come on, Rogers. What else do you expect people to do with an empty bottle?
Simanya now, recorder. Did you know that plastics take at least 450 years to decompose?
What? That's a long time.
Exactly. Because plastics are made out of a lightweight and flexible material that doesn't decompose easily. And plastics everywhere in the environment cause plastic pollution.
What is plastic pollution now?
It is the accumulation of plastic waste in the environment, like bottles, polythene bags, straws. All of these contribute to plastic pollution.
I have been using them without knowing their effect.
Yeah, a lot of people have. Plastics are a danger to the ecosystem, both on land and in water.
So how can we overcome this problem? Is there something we can do?
Oh yes, we can reduce by minimizing the use of plastics, reuse by repurposing them, or recycle by collecting and processing them into new products.
Everyone wants to change the world, but no one wants to change themselves for the world.
How about we change our habits for the world?
And it starts with me and you.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digitalk.
Hi, welcome to the Political Dice.
Empishi ebyobufuzi.
It's controversial,
Kiwali political,
well researched,
accurate and global.
Oyagala bya parliament oba council.
Bya state house oba ghetto.
Ani ayuga ku ground.
Ani gwe babuze.
Okimanyi nga Dr. Kizza Besigye aleesa amaanyi.
Olwofadda bafutoli abateeseemu obuvaazi.
Oba yo DP eri kuki?
Olwojema.
Bano ba MKCG bo baddawa.
Abo bafuna CDF baamala tebabanja. olwo baba ati bange bali kuki
abo bo akina kulabisa simayanga posturing tebabiri bali mu structure building naye ate ono ye
ani oyo oba
ye ali kuki
oyo tumuleketa gamwanyiga mangu
ebyo byonna birindira n'okudda political dice ku the alternative digital nange teditenje ewamu ne
Farida Bikobere
buli wa Sunday
essaawa 2.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
You're watching the Interface Show, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. We are into the second hour of the show. It's exactly 1 p.m. Thank you so much for tuning in. I have a couple of messages. Nacho, you continue by saying, but isn't this a contradiction from Dr. From Col Besigye? He says he doesn't believe in an election, message that pushes away many from participating in the process and indirectly boycotting. And now he is saying we shouldn't boycott. I think he gave an explanation to that. Olishe Lumbuye Holik says United Forces of Change nga n'ekibiina kiri mu kweyawulamu ate mwogo bakyagulanya ngazze okubeegattako. You continued and said, Dr. Besigye, you are a doctor who can't even unite with your fellow doctor to save the health system in Uganda. Nayo kyawuddisa bannansi. Amagezi Dr. Gowa bannansi singa wagakozesa emirundi gy'ozze weesimbawo nze ngamba singa twenunula dda. Mpirwe Desire, thanks for the program. You're live in Dubai, UAE. Okay, Olisha has a lot of messages. Naye ddala Besigye agamba kyeggwanga. I think there is something personal you have with Dr. Besigye, but he will be responding to that. Kalinani Kanina, this person who has been sending all these messages. Kanani says you're watching. Kachacha Steven Signal. We shall work on that. Okay, Nasasira Barnabas. Mr. President, a united force can't happen with the elites whose intent is to win positions under this regime. There are a couple of messages, but we'll be reading them as we continue the program. Continue to send them through at the Alternative Uganda Digital TV, then at the page of Dr. Kizza Besigye. Doctor, in a few minutes, do you want to respond to what these people were saying so that we can delve into the conversation of the nude protesters?
Yes, you know, Edgar.
Yes, sir.
You see, we have to really, I have said this many times, and I will continue saying it. We have to know that leaders, we, whom you call leaders, come from you.
Yes, in fact, the best of us goes to the leadership, apparently.
We come from, and that's why people, you know, there is a saying that people get the leaders they deserve.
Yes.
You know, if you see failed leaders, know that there is a failed population.
Because it's who we are. These are the best
That's
from
how,
us.
because, you know, so if you see a Museveni here, for 40 years, I told you, we shouldn't be blaming Museveni. We have to blame ourselves. That you can have a leader,
yes, sir,
who takes the last penny from your pocket, does not provide you health, does not provide you education or quality education, does not do your roads, you have no this, you can't afford the price of electricity because he has stolen from the dams, you know, who has put you against the wall, but you are still there, you know, happy to see the leader continue. You can't blame the leader. You are foolish. You are the person who is totally foolish. And we must, you know, deal with that foolishness within our community. That we can be led by the type of leaders we have here, you know. People go and visit other countries and see how they are run. They come back to this garbage and so on, and they still keep quiet and accept it. So you can't blame the leader. You must blame yourself. And this is, you know, it permeates in the kind of comments and questions you see people ask. You know, one reads what they write on these social media platforms. You say, but this, what is inside that round thing on top of the shoulders of this person?
Doctor, you're going personal.
It's not personal.
We have learned.
You know, we must address it. This is something very, very serious that we have to address.
Yes, sir.
You know, how, you know, people can accept the kind of things that they accept. If you like, including from me, because I hear many people, you know, saying, but you have failed. So if I have failed, what are you doing? Why don't you come up and fill the
void, yeah.
The void. If, this is what I am saying. You know, the government has collapsed, but we are here. We just, you know, lamenting instead of organizing. The thing you see is, no genius, even if there was a genius, can achieve much in a community, yes, as long as the community members are not responsive. People must act in their own interest first, for them to be then coordinated to achieve a common good.
Starts with you.
Yes. And, you know, I have been critical. You know, you call young people, come and we meet from universities here. Say, but we need transport.
Exactly. Transport refund.
But you are coming to meet in your own interest, yes, to see that your situation changes. You still want somebody to pay you so that you can change your own situation.
Doctor, we got to conduct trainings and they want us to pay them to sit in the trainings that are going to help them.
Absolutely. So that is where you know that there is a bigger problem, and which we need, we have no choice but to deal with the problem, because we have no other country. This is the only country we have, and we must invest our everything to try and make it work for all of us.
Okay.
So, you know, I had obviously already responded to the difference between boycott, yes, and participation. I'm saying that we must, I am for participation, but how we participate is what is a matter for discussion. Okay. And there are forms of participation that I think are injurious to the liberation that we desire.
Okay.
Health system, the health system cannot be saved by Besigye uniting with another doctor. The health system will be saved by a revolution, changing how the country works. It's not individuals working together that can save this health system, okay, or the education system, or any other management system here. We need a revolution. So the question is, if you are talking about uniting with any other person, it is to carry out a revolution. That's what, the situation in the country can no longer be changed by, you know, just fidgeting with a few changes here and there. No.
It's just fixing.
It needs an overhaul.
Okay.
Complete overhaul.
All right, Doctor. You have any other to respond to, or?
I think I think this is covered.
Doctor, about the protesters, 3 ladies went to protest nude, and they are trying to advocate and call for resigning of Anita Among, protesting corruption. Do you have any comment on the activity that was done by these young ladies who were remanded to?
Well, I think the controversial aspect of it was only the nudity.
Exactly.
Now, and I think, you see, the nudity must be understood in 2 ways. First of all, if they were just 3 ladies walking to Parliament, maybe nobody would have even taken notice of them. I don't think they would have become the subject of debate in the whole country. And I saw some people saying that people are debating their nudity, not what they were nude for. That their cause of talking about corruption was lost in their nudity. People discussing whether nudity or no nudity. But I think you cannot avoid both. I think, in my own assessment, people who are rational will inquire into what forced, these young ladies who appear rational in their coherent, what forced them to take that kind of extreme measure. And I think anybody who addresses their mind in that direction will not avoid recognizing that it is a pointer to the crisis that the country faces now. That this is a demonstration of the crisis. You see, it's like we have seen young people power fuel on themselves and set themselves ablaze.
Yes.
Quite a number of young people have burnt themselves.
Yes.
And again, there was talk about their actions for a short while, and it, of course, got off the media. But in a serious community would have treated those incidents with maximum attention, because by the time somebody burns himself,
Yes.
you must know that it's not an ordinary type of suicide, but even any ordinary type of suicide, for somebody to take their own life is a matter that needs very serious attention, inquiry. How did this happen? What prompted it? So
when you say that, when a person set their blaze in Northern Africa, it caused an entire Arab Spring.
Yes.
A change of government in the entire
Yes,
society.
because it shows you the level of the crisis that has prompted this.
Yes. Yes.
Extreme measure. And so these 3 young ladies, I think, in a large measure demonstrated that there is a very, very serious crisis here. Some years back, in this crisis, which is still going on, of Apa in Amuru district, where a whole sub-county has been grabbed by some land grabbers, and they have killed so many people, evicted people from their homes, and so on. It has been going on. The carnage going on there is, the killings. And General Aronda went to visit that area.
Yes, sir.
To inquire into the dispute that was going on there. And when he arrived, the old women of the whole village, they came to the road and blocked it, completely naked. And these were,
I've heard of that story.
yes, these were old women, not just young girls like this. Old women,
Yes.
capable of being his mother. They were right in front of him, stark naked. And again, you know, there was a debate. But for an old woman to display her nudity in broad daylight on the street, if you are not shaken to inquire what prompted this and deal with it, then you are totally insensitive, you see. And that situation of APA is still festering on, in spite of those extreme measures. And many, many people have been killed, homes burned, what, and life continues. This is what I was telling you.
Yes, sir.
You know? So I definitely, for me, understand that conditions can force people to do the extraordinary. That is even where terrorism comes from. Terrorism is incited also.
Yes.
Whether you agree with it or not, but there is a cause. What is causing it? What you call terrorism. You know? So if you don't take away the injustices that force people into extreme actions, they will keep on happening. You see?
Yes, sir.
And so the three ladies should cause the country to have some kind of deeper thinking about where we are. This corruption they are talking about is not ordinary corruption, you know, because what is happening in this country, I think corruption gives a misleading picture. I don't know whether it can be called just plunder, you know, looting, or some other, you know, you know, it's unbelievable. And so all this is happening. People are losing their people, you know, from lack of basic things. I've told you about the road carnage. The reason we have this unbelievable road carnage has a lot to do with things that are controllable if we have a serious government. You know, basic things. Incidentally, the greatest casualties in these road accidents are pedestrians. It's not the people in vehicles. They are the people who are on foot. But they are walking dangerously close to the vehicles because there are no foot paths for them. They walk on the road.
Sam Seven won't agree with you. He was laughing at someone who said that the cause of these accidents is because the roads are too small. And he's saying that cannot be a reason.
Of course, he's the reason, number one. his lack of understanding or lack of care is the reason all these things are there. So, you know, the numbers of casualties, the highest as pedestrians, the second are cyclists. People who are cycling. So if it is not the size and design of the road, what can it be? Why are these people who cannot be riding fast, who cannot be, you know, they are walking, they are cycling, they are the greatest casualties, you know. later on the motorists who are driving. You know, most you'll find they have been trying to dodge a pothole. Somebody is driving, then he sees a big hole, he tries to swerve, he hits a border there, he hits a cyclist, he hits a pedestrian before he gets back. Yes. So this is, you know, the depth of the crisis. People are losing their dear ones in these hospitals needlessly because they don't have money. So when you see somebody walk naked, there are many things driving them.
So don't look at the activity.
They are children. They have left children at home without food.
Yes, sir.
You know, and so for you to focus on blaming this victim shows again, you know, the level of empathy, how we feel for others. So you are blaming the women. How can you don't respect yourselves? How can they don't know even they don't, you know, you are talking about somebody hungry who cannot feed a child, who has no hope. They were maybe in refugee has been crushed, their only investment, their only home.
Doctor, one would say that our society is like that. I remember during the protests of 2020, people were blaming Bobi Wine and they're saying, Bobi Wine asabana. And that was the narrative. And one would ask, how about the person who's killing these young people?
Some of it is by the regime itself. Some of those noises. Because I have told you that part of what they use to remain in power for that long is propaganda. They pay so many people to throw all kinds of messages that discourage people that are protesting against them. So many of the comments you see attacking the women, are from agents of Mr. Museveni. Because he doesn't want people indeed to focus on what he's doing. So he shifts the focus onto those who are protesting against him. So part of it is that.
Okay.
But part of it is by, again, people who haven't clarified their minds about how we shall get out of this mess. You know, if you are blaming somebody demonstrating against what is hurting you, it means that you are confused. You know. Yes. So, yes, nudity is, especially in our own environments, is a bit shocking, and I think that's why it's potent.
Exactly.
But, you know, people who also exaggerate, they say, you know, this is indecent, I don't understand them, because, I mean, we Africans here have only had clothes for a few years.
You're entering another debate.
No, but I mean, that's, you know.
A few hundreds of years ago.
No, I don't think your grandfather was dressed.
I don't.
So I mean, we have just entered these clothes, but now we are attaching ourselves to them as if, you know, if you are not dressed, you are. No, go to Karamoja.
They are still there.
I mean, people are walking happily naked. You know, so you know, I don't find any reason at all to blame what the women did.
Okay, thank you so much, Doctor. For those who don't know, we had an incident earlier this week that involved the president of the National Unity Platform, Robert Chagulanyi, sent where he says he was shot by the police. But according to some of the preliminary findings that we have, I think it was not actually a gunshot wound itself. I think it was a canister that exploded near him, and some of these fragments affected his leg. But this comes at a time when we are entering the political season. And Kyagulanyi is one of those people who have been trying to advocate for a better Uganda, and of course he has confirmed that he will be on the ballot come 2026. I want to ask Doctor what he thinks about this particular issue. Dr. Besigye, what do you think about what really occurred around Robert Kyagulanyi Center?
It is election violence, I am sure. Because, you see, violence as a means of managing an election starts way before the election and continues way after the election. So the election cycle is not just months before or months after. It's actually, you know, a whole. It's like Kasese. The massacre in Kasese was part of electoral violence of November 2016.
Post-election?
Yes, it was part of electoral violence. And so, you know, here, I think there are two elements. First, it is the ordinary electoral violence, which seeks to intimidate the population, discourage them to have anything to do with the election, leading to the low turnout you were talking about, which favors the regime. Only the regime supporters, however few, will be keen to go and vote. You know? So part of it is calculated to start causing fear, disillusionment, and
This ugly.
yes, yes. That's where it starts. So that is one. Secondly, it is the tension created by the Gen Zs in neighboring Kenya. Because what the Kenyans are demonstrating about very effectively is about 100 times less than what Ugandans endure. You know?
Yes, I get you.
If you see the budget, they torpedoed, said, you know, this finance bill, throw it out, and it was thrown out. Its effect, the crimes of it, are about 1,000 times less than what was passed in Parliament here, including what Mr. Museveni returned to Parliament to take away money from health and give it to his friends, you know. So the regime is also keenly aware that the discontent of especially young people is soon reaching the roof. You know, they have tried to ship away some to slavery, but there are still very many here who are up against the wall. So there is that jitteriness about, you know, a possibility of mass protest. And so that's why I think for the two reasons, they will attack any leader they suspect has ingredients relating to these two. may have popular support. That support could be stirred into popular protest. And so it's not surprising to me at all. Even if you see, this has nothing to do with crowd control, absolutely nothing. Because crowd control would start with crowds. You know,
There were a few people. One would say the crowd was there. There were a few members wearing, that military fatigue.
Yeah, but no, that was his own team. That's not a crowd. The crowd is what comes to crowd around those. That was his own team. He left.
Foot soldiers.
Yes, he must have left his home with them or organized. Though that is his team which he moves with. And indeed, they are easily identifiable because they are uniformed.
Exactly.
So you can see that this is the crowd, there was no crowd. They were on the move, actually.
Yeah, they were done with
so this was simply intended to scare people. And I looked at the clips where that grenade burst that injured him. He had just stepped out of the car and it burst from his foot, literally. These are not. So those grenades, they have two effects. One, they make a lot of noise. Blast. They make noise. Secondly, they fragment and injure. That's not for the crowd. That's not intended for.
You called it a grenade. I think they're calling it a tear gas canister.
No. This is not tear gas canister. It's not. It's not a tear gas canister. Tear gas canister just fumes and brings out the gas. This one has no gas, actually. It just blasts.
Doctor, a grenade can kill Chagulanyi tomorrow, or yesterday would have killed him. If it were
These are plastic, so they are rubber. They are rubber grenades.
Yes.
Hard rubber. And yes, of course, even that fragment, with the speed at which it moves, it can indeed cause severe injury. But because it is on the ground, so it tends to hit the legs. I was hit by one, in about exactly the same place he was hit. In Katwe, we were in Katwe having a rally there. And they threw it at me again, exactly intentionally. And it hit Mwijuche, it hit me. On another occasion, it hit me again. I didn't know I had been hit. Because Nabila, whom we had collapsed, I was paying attention to Nabila until we reached the hospital. I saw blood and my trouser. So they used them deliberately, So they definitely targeted him.
Before you talk about targeting and continue, there is a person who has said, ask him if stunts do apply in politics, trying to say that this is a political stunt. And just to add on that, some people did not even want me to ask you about this question, saying that these are just political stunts. How true is this according to you?
Well, you see, again, in politics, there will be a whole range of opinions, from your detractors to your supporters to those who are in between. They will view any situation very differently. You saw when Trump was shot recently, many people said this is
Stunt.
organized by Trump himself.
Yes.
And I think eventually most people saw that that was really ridiculous. Because you cannot organize somebody to shoot with a live bullet and shoot at your ear. Because
One would say maybe you were lucky to have shot the head.
I mean, nobody would dare do that. That you stage someone to shoot your ear with a live bullet. So,
Yes, sir.
but did Trump politically benefit from it?
Yes.
Quite likely. So, you know, the question you can ask is whether the person who threw that grenade was a Kyagulanyi supporter, wanting Kyagulanyi
To get political mileage. And I don't think they were. Yes, sir.
So, you know, but as I have said, there is a whole range of spectrum of opinions. And I think it ought also to be known that individuals react differently to injury. Because again, I've seen some, you know.
They were comparing you.
Yeah, we react differently to injury. We have different, you know. You can,
We are different people.
Yeah, absolutely.
They are saying Dr. Besigye wasn't like that.
Absolutely.
Okay. So, at just 35 minutes past the top of the hour, thank you so much for watching. Let me just go through a couple of your messages that you are sending in here. Thank you so much for sharing these messages, and allow me go through a few of them. I haven't paid a desire. I've already read your message here. There is Dennis Kasigazi. The policy of participating in an election and using it for the struggle can be abused by self-seekers and exploited by the regime itself to buy a degree of legitimacy. You say you love the shirt. Ayesiga Edward Bagonza, you're tuned in. Then there's Mick Mushabe. My country, my KB, how I wish you can lead this country, at least for one term. You're watching from Yenga. Okay, most of the messages are really gratitude-based. Yeah, I think we shall just go with those ones. Maybe you can send in more messages as we continue with the program. There is this Kapapula woman, thank you so much for watching. Depending on the political environment, I'm simply suggesting let's focus on coming election market. On the coming election, I think you might market all candidates at all levels. This will enable to come back as a leader and commander of the opposition. Then Emma Mulako says, a good leader like Dr. Besigye knows the rights of the poor people, but wicked leaders like Museveni cannot understand that. Then there is Derek Telson, Uganda. You're watching live from Ginger. And Doctor, the statement by Kapapula of looking at, marketing leaders on every level, it also buys in one ideology of some political parties, for example, ANT, of looking at these grassroots structures, empowering people from down, that if we can hypothetically get those positions down, as you, the opposition, it will be easy for you to fight for power at the biggest position. Comment on that.
Well, I don't agree with it because, first of all, even if you actually get those positions, they have no power. Oh. That's the crux of the matter. And so it's a process simply of legitimization of a process that does not eventually change much.
Okay.
And what we have also witnessed is that even when we go through all these, processes and invest a lot of effort and win those offices, the occupiers of those offices are promptly co-opted. They start serving the junta.
Yeah, we have seen that happen.
And not serving the struggle. So I'm not sold to the idea of focusing on how to get more people elected into this junta. If it was possible, because we have said power rests with Mr. Museveni, not in parliament, not in courts,
Yes, sir.
not in local governments, not in urban authorities. Power is with the president. So if you are saying, giving me a strategy of how to dislodge the person with power so that that power can be dispersed, I could pay attention. Even changing the president per se
Yes.
will not solve the problem. Because if, Edgar, you assume the powers Museveni has, you are capable of doing exactly what he's doing.
Exactly.
Because it's unrestrained.
Yes.
You have power that has no restraints.
Yes, sir.
And so you can use it arbitrarily,
Yeah.
however you want. That's what we want to solve. The problem is not to solve the hoarder who is there, Mr. Museveni, but to democratize the power which is there,
Okay, I get you.
so that it comes down and we can all use that power to get service to ourselves. That's the challenge. So telling me you are going to get more people into powerless offices does not attract me at all.
Okay. Maybe lastly, this person has said that, Dr. Besigye, we appreciate your personal effort to liberate the country, but your fellow politicians seem not to agree with your approach. Right now, most of the politicians are gearing up for 2026. Imagine including the main opposition party. He was just giving you feedback on the reality on ground.
Yes, I don't mind myself being a minority in this matter. I am persuaded completely that the election in and of itself will not solve our problems.
Okay.
Those who are persuaded that it will, time will show you. Again, that there is nothing, that you are going. In fact, things will simply get worse. If the kind of money that is spent in elections will be spent in the next election, this country will be actually completely bankrupt. Maybe that will be the contribution the election would have caused. Because then everybody now
Can feel the pinch.
will have to understand. Of course, they are going to print money because the money is not there. They have borrowed all they can borrow. So they are going to print money for the elections. And so you prepare. Printing money means robbing from all of us. That's what printing means. When they print, it means they are borrowing from us directly. So the effects of that printing of money without any basis which they supply, will be felt immediately after the election.
That's why we always feel a certain...
Just like it happened in 2011.
Yes.
When that walk to work started.
Yes.
So, either way, this coming election is going to be a very determinant point in the politics of this country.
Okay.
Whichever way we participate in it. As I have said, in my case, I don't advocate just boycott to say I'm not participating and you sit at home. We must participate in one form or another. And we will see what happens at the end of the process.
Okay, we have 15 minutes to the top of the hour. Doctor, in these 15 minutes, let's talk about the regional parliament. The first sitting was held in Gulu We saw some members of parliament go, in fact many members went there. We saw Anita Among travel in some areas, dishing out a few resources. I saw her giving 50 million to some market and some leaders receiving some money. And my question is, as the parliament, have we gone to listen to the issues of the people in those areas? Or there is something we are not seeing in these regional parliaments? What do you think about that, sir?
Well, I think the regional parliament has three issues that I can talk to. The first one is that it is part of the elections.
Yes, sir.
Just like we were talking about electoral violence, this is electoral investment. To go to every region, take the candidate Museveni there to appear. Again, it's a deception. To appear in the region, to pay attention to the
Issues,
problems of the region.
Exactly.
Which he has not attended to all this time. Nobody was stopping him. He has other DCs who should be knowing every problem in the district. He has DSOs, he has GSOs who know the problem of every sub-county. He has PSOs who know the problem of every parish. So he's not short of information, which we pay for. We pay all those PSOs, GSOs, DSOs, RDCs, RESOs, I don't know what. He is, literally drowning in information about what is in every part of the country. He simply has not paid any attention to it. So the regional parliament is for politicking. To say, I am now coming to pay attention. Just like all their programs, that's how they are constructed, like PDM, and all the hula barrow that went behind the PDM. Now, what has PDM done to solve the problems? Absolutely nothing. But they will drop.
But there are some testimonials from the rural areas who say PDM has done something for them. But let's continue.
So I see the regional parliaments,
yes, sir,
as that part. Previously, it was wealth creation. Museveni would move with wealth creation meetings in the regions. So now it is the same electoral journey now paid by parliament. I think the vote for doing that is through parliament. So that is what I see as the first real intention. The second intention is likely to be to shift debate from the national cry about the robbery in parliament. Because, everybody was jeering to protest to parliament about the theft in parliament, about this. There was the Sechkumo motion, which was still raging there. There was, the parliament and its image and, so now they say, now let's take parliament close to the people. We are coming there to solve your problems. So it's to shift attention, I think, of the population to this debate now. Is regional good, not good? The people of Northern...
One would ask, have the issues of the central Kampala, where the parliament has been sitting for the last couple of years, have they been solved?
No.
They don't look like they have.
In talking about the real reasons, I am simply suggesting that what they say are the reasons are definitely not. That they are coming closer to the people to solve the problems there, to give more attention. That is all trash, absolute nonsense, because you can pay even the minutest attention to any area you want from here without spending. Every MP, from what I read, was given 1.6 million to attend the session in Bulu.
Oh.
The allowance, 1.6 million. You haven't put in the transportation that is taking them and bringing them back, and the other
hotels,
expenses that are done there. You know, all that could have been sent to northern Uganda to deal with certain aspects that are known, or that you can know from sitting here. And they have already been having committees of parliament that go out there.
Yes.
They even sent them ahead to collect. So they can collect all that and bring it here. And the money that you have spent on this is then spent on actually touching on people's lives, dealing with the schools, with the hospitals, with the roads, with whatever. That money go there.
Yes.
So I consider that the second real reason was to shift attention, to divert the attention from the wrongdoings of Parliament to a new debate of bringing Parliament closer to the people. What they are really taking closer is they are stealing. I don't think that.
Because why would you even get an allowance of 1.6 million? Don't you get a normal allowances every day? You get sitting allowance. So why should we give you allowance? For what?
Yes. So,
for what really?
Yes. So that's what they are taking. The third, I think, element, which I think is to some extent plausible, is that it infuses some cash in those towns where they go, and that again has some political, benefit. It then yields. Of course, there was a big loan to make roads in these towns.
Yes, yes.
There was a big loan to make roads, which of course they will not maintain, just like here, So partly it is not only to give the, to put in some boost in the urban-centered businesses, but also to try and show that, things here have changed. So it's all politics.
I get you. Because there's that project you're talking about that was going to make sure that you can, from border to border in Uganda, roads are constructed.
Yes. So this is not border to border. This is urban. Urban
centers.
Urban roads.
Okay.
All these roads all these towns, they turned into cities.
Cities, yes. Oh, okay. That's a different
have just had a road construction project.
Okay.
Whether it's Fort Portal, whether it's
Mbale,
Masaka, or they have had those projects. And so again, I think apart from taking some benefit to create excitement in those towns, political excitement and maybe some economic excitement. It is also to showcase that there is something being done here. But overall, it will leave the regions much worse. Yes, because all this money which is being spent is their money. It's not anybody else's money. It's like a PDM. Say we are bringing you. Whose money are you bringing me? It is my money, which you took away from me in billions, and you are now bringing me
100 million.
Yes. So it just crumbs of what you took away from me. So all the wastage that is, which I've talked about, that is associated with that whole project,
Yes, sir.
goes to make all of us worse off, not better off. And so I don't think it is meant to last. I think it is an electoral exercise. I think it is a tactical exercise to deviate attention to something new. But there is nothing that is going to come out of it, in terms of better service.
So that's what we were asking ourselves.
Better service to the region.
So let's look at Gulu. It's done. What has changed? What is really different about that town now after that sitting has commenced? I know. But Julius Buyinza, thank you so much for watching. We're coming to the end of this discussion. You say very true, failed leaders means failed citizens, failed population, and a failed nation. Thank you so much, Charlene. Shera, you say thank you for always hosting the president. It's always our pleasure, and the president also accepts to come and be hosted by us. Derek Telson Luganda, you're saying you're watching live from Ginger. Thank you so much for watching. We'll just mention a few names. Nasasira, thank you so much for watching. Steven Kachacha, you are also watching. Dennis Kasigazi, you have been watching us. Mick Mushabe, thank you so much for watching. And a couple of you people who always watch our shows. Nachine Rita, you're always asking good questions. Thank you so much for watching. Princess Luwede, you're watching. Pere David, Norman Tumuhimbisa, I can see you here. Stella Nyanzi, thank you so much for all watching. Doctor, just give us your parting shots in a minute or two so that we can come to the end of this discussion.
Yeah, well, I must join you also in thanking all of you who have been on this week's Interface show. It's always, encouraging to know that whatever we are discussing, you are a part of it, and that you can carry it forward. We are living in very, very challenging times. I'm sure you, especially those of you who are here in Uganda, will know. As I have pointed out, it's not an exaggeration. We are actually on our own. There is no government, as I can see now. Government collapsed a while back. So we are in a very delicate period of how we transit from the Museveni era to the post-Museveni era. And how we manage this requires your personal attention. If we are not very serious and involved and engaged, all of us, if you think it will be somebody's duty, then we may be headed for a totally collapsed state. There is a collapsed government now, but we can end up in a failed state and anarchy if we are not careful. So I invite you to become active participant in shaping the future of this country. Together we can fight to bring this country back to the rails so that it moves us to a better place. Please be there. We shall overcome. Have a great week, and God bless you.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Always a privilege having you on the show, sir. And of course, our viewer, thank you so much for watching us. From the time we started at 12 midday up to now, you can go back on YouTube and watch this particular feed without any buffering or any issues, because Facebook is a bit complicated here in Uganda. But of course, we thank you so much for watching. From the entire team, my name is Edgar Matthew Karahanga. Ted was on camera, and Mr. Arnold Mukose Anthony is always in the production. In case you want to advertise with us, feel free. We can do advertising for your product in case you want to live stream your event, photography, videography, organizing your event, all that. We do it here at Digitalk TV. So send us a message through our social media platforms at Digitalk TV, at The Alternative Uganda. You can follow us, follow Dr. Kizza Besigye on his page. It's verified, but you can also follow me at Edgar Matthew Karahanga on Facebook and on Twitter. We shall meet you next Friday. It will be the Uganda version with Mr. Mukose Arnold Anthony right here. But from the entire team, God bless you. See you next Friday at exactly 12 midday. Good afternoon.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.